Hi guys, welcome back. So, from the title of the video, I'm going to answer a question that I get quite often here and there about managing workload, and I've been getting it a bit more recently as well. So, in this video, I'm going to share some strategies that should help you manage your workload as you're going through your counseling training. No matter what stage you're at, these are strategies you can still apply to get yourself through this. So the whole point of these strategies is that they can help you juggle your assignments, placements, if you have placement, your job, if you're also working, and alongside any other responsibilities that you may have. So I know all of these strategies won't work for every single person. So take the strategies that will work for your situation and for the responsibilities that you have. You can also make them more adaptable to your situation. And please, if you've got any amazing strategies, feel free to share them in the comment section below so other people can learn and so we can all help each other out. So the first strategy that I'm going to talk about is one that I used when I was doing my diploma. Now, I did my diploma, I think, about 5 years ago now, just before COVID started. It feels for some reason now like diplomas have a lot more assignments than during my time. I don't recall doing like lots of heavy writing, but we did have a few assignments here and there, but they weren't marked rigorously. We just had to go through the learning objectives and make sure everything was done, and we ticked it off as we went through. And I think we also had to write a journal. I can't remember fully. But for me, what helped me a lot with managing my workload when I was doing my diploma was doing my work when I got home. So of course, this might not be straight away. For you, it might be in the evening, or depending on what time you do college. I know some people do evening classes, so you might not be able to do it when you get home. But it all just depends on your situation. Like I said, you can adapt it. However, if your course is in the morning, then of course when you come back. So the reason I say this is because when you get home, of course, you might want to eat, get changed, shower, whatever it is you want to do, or spend time with family. But say, if anything, come home, and if it's an assignment, whether it's a big one or a small one, if it's a small one, you could probably do it all that same day as soon as you get home. However, if it's a big assignment, you can just start it. You can just make notes maybe on what you want to write about. And if it's a really, really big assignment, what you could do if you don't feel like you can start it right away, because especially after a long day of college, you're probably not going to have as much mental capacity to start writing an assignment straight away. So what you could do instead is just write a plan for what you're going to do. So you can start planning your essay, you can start writing a plan for what you're going to put in the essay or the assignment that you've got to write. And that alone will get you started, especially while your mind is fresh and the things that you've just learned on the day are fresh in your mind. So you can just write a few bullet points, a few sentences here and there, and give yourself a head start so that you're less likely to procrastinate as well. So that's strategy number one, doing the work or starting the work when you get home from college that day. And of course, if you finish at night, then try and do it either later that night if you are a night owl, or do it the next day if you can. But the sooner you start, the better, essentially. So the next strategy is my personal favorite for when I had big assignments, especially during my masters. So hopefully this strategy will stop you from procrastinating in ways that you didn't even know you could until that assignment came your way. Because that's what I used to do. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna cut my toenails, or I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sew the hole that's been in my clothes for the past 5 months. Just doing stuff that you know you don't need to do, but suddenly it's like the one thing that you really, really want to do. So this strategy will hopefully get rid of all that kind of procrastination mindset that comes with a big task, especially when it's something like schoolwork. So I spoke about this strategy a bit more in my dissertation videos, which I will have linked in the description box, and you can watch after this video if you'd like. So I'll explain it briefly here again. So what I used to do when I had a big assignment ahead of me, oh, that sounds so good. Never having to do an assignment again. Sounds so good. But anyway, so what I would normally do is essentially I've been given this assignment, and if you've seen like a lot of my uni vlogs and stuff like that, you'll know that at the start of each academic year, I would write a list of all the assignments, when they're due, how many words, and the question, whatever the topic is, right? So you've got this big assignment ahead of you. You know how many words it is, you know what the deadline is. So what you need to do in this strategy is set your own personal deadline. So don't choose the deadline that is actually meant, the day that is meant to be submitted. Choose your own deadline. So maybe this is a few days before the assignment is due, or a week before, or a month before, if you're really ahead of your schedule and you'd like to plan well ahead. Whatever time it is, pick a deadline that's before the actual deadline, a personal deadline. And then choose also the day you're going to start writing the assignment. Are you going to start writing next week? Are you going to start writing tomorrow? Are you going to start writing on the weekend? Whatever day that is. So let's say, for example, then you've picked your personal deadline and your personal start date, and you know how many words the assignment is. What you now need to do is divide the number of words by the number of days, and that should give you how many words you should write each day leading up to your personal deadline. This will make it so much easier to do what you need to do each day without feeling like you've got to sit at your laptop for like 5 hours and type 600 words or 1,000 words. So for example, let's say you've given yourself 14 days to write 1,500 words. So what you would need to do now is 1,500 divided by 14, and that gives you approximately 107 words to write each day leading up to your personal deadline. So each day you sit down, maybe an hour or 2 hours, and you've already made your plan, by the way. This is once you've already written your plan and you already know what you're going to write. So now you sit down every single day, write 107 words, and by the time 14 days is done, you've done your 1,500 word assignment just like that. And I think this strategy is a lot easier because it feels less overwhelming. And 107 words on a Word document is actually probably just like a few lines. I think it's probably like less than 5 lines. But yeah, it's not much, like it's not a lot. So I think that makes it a lot easier, and it feels a lot less daunting to know that I've just got to sit here and write 107 words. And in a day, you probably text more than 107 words to people. So if you really think about it, it shouldn't take forever. So this is my second strategy, and I think it's one of my favorites, especially for big assignments. So whether it's a 4,000 word assignment, 2,000 word assignment, just divide it by the number of days that you've got to write it. The reason I say the deadline you give yourself should be before the main deadline is so that you have some time to reread and to just do some extra corrections and to read it with a fresh mind. Give yourself like a day off to not read it and to not be immersed in it. And then once you've had a day away from it or a few days away from it, then you can read it again, make any corrections, and then submit it. And also then you won't be rushing, which is really nice. Okay, so the next strategy is really more about the environment, because this plays quite a big role in how well you do your work and how stressful it feels sometimes, more so than we realize. Now, this might not make a big difference for everybody, but for some people it certainly does. I find a big difference when I work in a library. I feel more focused and I feel like zoom, I'm on my Zoom, I'm on my game, and I can't be distracted as much as when I'm at home. So it does probably make a difference for some people. So I'm going to list some things that might work for you. So like I've already said, go into the library, go into a cafe, or just go into a different room in the house, maybe instead of working where you normally work. It might be a bit more conducive. But of course, there should be a room maybe that's a bit calmer, a room that's got less distractions, maybe a room that doesn't have a TV, or a room where people can just constantly go in and out. And speaking of distractions, the environment is also the stuff that you choose to use. So your phone, your tablet, or whatever other device you do not need should not be with you. Ideally, it shouldn't be in the same room as you if you don't need it, and if you don't have anything important, any important calls that you're expecting, right? So if anything, I would say either switch it off, put it on silent, or put it on the other side of the room so that you're not going to be tempted to just pick it up and start scrolling, because we all know what it's like to have a big assignment and to just be like, okay, I'm just going to keep scrolling. And to be honest, I do that sometimes when I'm doing a lot of work. I just take like small breaks and like small unnecessary random breaks to just scroll, but it does help me still be productive because I know I'm only scrolling for like a few minutes and then I stop. And when I say a few minutes, I mean like less than 10 minutes. I scroll, and then my mind kind of just relaxes a bit and then I go back to work. But I know that works for me. It doesn't necessarily distract me. However, the point being, whatever device you do not need, either put it on silent, do not disturb, switch it off, or put it in a different room, or put it on the other side of the room, or just out of sight. I remember when I was doing my A-levels, if I was revising in the living room, I would put my phone in my bedroom and I would switch it off. And that helped me focus so much. So of course you don't have to go to this extreme, but if you are really struggling and you want to try something that works for you, this might be a strategy you could try as well. So just even having those devices around us and scrolling on social media and taking in a lot of excess content and a lot of information can take the energy away from your mind that you actually need to use for your assignment. So that's why it's important to try and avoid scrolling and to avoid using your phone too much, because it is taking away the mental energy and strength that you need, that you could be putting towards writing your assignment. So whatever environment that you choose, whether it's another room in your house, somebody else's house, a library, a cafe, wherever it is that you've chosen to be, make sure it's conducive for studying. So if that means that the room is warm, the room is cool, the window's open, or there's music playing in the background, or a show playing in the background, because I know me, I like background noise when I'm working, so I usually have something I'm watching which doesn't require me to focus on it too much, and that helps me to work. I don't like working in silence, So make sure your environment that you've chosen is conducive for studying. Don't just be like, to be a good student or to get this assignment done, I must sit here in silence and be strict and uncomfortable. No, make sure you're feeling comfortable. If it means that you have your tea, you've got some snacks so you don't have to keep getting up and going to the kitchen or going to the till to buy another cake or another cup of tea, have all that you need with you so that you're not constantly having to get up and, take yourself away from work. Get in the zone, use what you need to feel comfortable, and make sure that the environment that you have and that you're in is conducive for writing your assignment in a peaceful way with less distractions. So, the next strategy that I'm going to share with you is simply dividing your time. Now, I know there's lots of different ways of studying and dividing your time, and they all have these different names and different study techniques, but I didn't want to include stuff that you can easily find on the internet, but maybe stuff that's a bit different and a bit more practical. So I'm not going to complicate this, of course. This is simply just a matter of choice and a matter of discipline. So do what works for you. I like to work in large chunks of time. I don't like to do like small work here and then take a break, small work. I like to do long time of work and then a break and then long time of work. So do what works for you. Choose what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And if you don't know how best you work, try both. If you're somebody who feels like, okay, maybe you could start with working for 2 hours, take a 30-minute break or 45-minute break and see how that goes. Or you work for 2 hours, take a 1 hour break. You could start with maybe 30 minutes and then take a 15-minute break. Find what works for you. It might be 4 hours of work and then 2 hour break or 1.5 hour break, watching TV, eating, even taking a nap if you need to, using your phone unlimited for that time. Whatever it is that works for you, make sure you divide your time and you stick to it. And if it's a case of needing an alarm or a timer, do that as well. Now, whatever you've decided, if it's, let's say, 2 hours with a 45-minute break, then you could do this 2 or 3 times in a row throughout the day, depending on how big your assignment is. Or you could just do it twice, or you can just do it the once, but you know that, okay, every day I'm going to work for 2 hours, do my 107 words, and then I'm done. I can take a break before I continue with the rest of the tasks that I need to do outside of uni or outside of this training. So it's quite simple, of course, just divide the time that works best for you, because it's also nice knowing that like you've got a time that you can look forward to finishing, and that hopefully should add some motivation as well. Like the same way when you're at school or when you're at work, like it's nice to know that, okay, I'm going to finish work at 5, so like there's only 30 minutes left, so there's only 10 minutes left, and it's like it motivates you sometimes. Of course, it can make time drag, but sometimes it can be motivating to know like, yes, I'm almost at the finish line. So do the same for yourself. Give yourself something to look forward to, like, okay, when I finish, I'm going to be finishing in 10 minutes and I've only got 15 minutes. And of course, if you find yourself coming closer to the end of that time, but you actually feel like working, keep going, don't stop. Like, find what works for you. So if you feel like, okay, I gave myself 1 hour, but I'm only getting into the swing of things now and I'm supposed to be finishing in 15 minutes, but I actually want to carry on, then keep going. And then you can see how you work and how your mind works and what it takes for you to get into your zone, into your flow of work. And then you can adjust and adapt that to future times when you're working on your assignments. So, like I said before, if you have any other cool, amazing strategies that I have not shared, please share them in the comment section for others. And I hope these strategies actually help and that I answered your question about managing workload really well, because I know it's not easy. And of course, life is really busy. So let me know what you're going to try in the comment section. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Good night, good day, goodbye, wherever you're watching from. Bye.